It's Vibe. Ow! It's Vibe Jam, and it's kind of a new thing I'm doing. I'm calling it Doof Solos, and today I'm soloing bass of PJ. PJ, what is up? Hold on a sec. Let me get the Discord. There we go.
Hey, hi.
Let me fix my screen really quick. There we go.
There we are. Doof, glad to be here. Hope your hand is okay. Hope your hand is all right.
It's the hand I use at night, so it's all good.
Well, my quick funny hand story. I was play fighting with my stepdaughter, and I stupidly tried to block a kick with an open palm, and she jammed my finger, the middle finger, real good for like about a month or so. Yeah. But now it's back. It's back. I was fretting with it and playing. It's the fret hand. It's the left. I'm a righty. So yeah, the fret hand's good. I'm able to still get through the scales, no problem. No major damage. Just a little injury. Had to sit out on the IR for a bit, but I'm back. So.
I was dumb when I was younger. I would donate plasma since I was broke a lot when I was younger. But I was in a band and I was a bass player. And like an idiot, every single time. So when you get donate plasma, you have to, they can finger prick you every time. And I never think, prick the finger. I never use when I'm playing bass. Like, you could do your thumb or your pinky. I rarely use my pinky when I'm that's right hand. I rarely use my pinky when I'm fingering my bass. So, but no, I have it prick the fingers I use all the time.
Yep.
And so every time I go to band practice, ow, ow, ow. It's like, this is stupid.
Doof is going hard. He's bleeding all over the bass, man. Holy shit.
I look at my strings. These are getting so corroded so quick.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Bass strings are not cheap either. I wish they were cheaper, but they last forever, though.
Yeah. I mean, that set's been on since I moved here from Florida. Shit. Since I moved here from Tampa to Charleston, where I'm at right now.
Dang. And by the way, viewers, as you know, I am from the magical town of Minneapolis, and we are the best podcast in Minneapolis. Just so you know, if anyone asks, they're lying. So, or denies they're lying, because look at this. Who else has guests from across the U.S.
Well, and to be honest, Minneapolis, very good fucking music scene, and it's one of those cities. I never got a chance to tour across the Mississippi, and do the Midwest, but Minneapolis, St. Paul, like Twin Cities would definitely be on that freaking list, man. And also I say this, and it's not a pejorative. It compared to a Chicago. Or Chicago for one, and Chicagoland or whatnot. Minneapolis and St. Paul would be like a quote second tier city, right?
Yeah.
But those are usually, for instance, in the Philadelphia market, Reading would be a second tier city. Allentown would be second tier cities. Harrisburg and so forth. Those are the great places to go on tours. The great places to go. Go to, you definitely want to go to Chicago. You definitely want to try and play New York and Philly and DC and Baltimore and the big areas. But don't rule out, don't rule out a Tampa. Don't rule out a Jacksonville. Don't rule out a Minneapolis, St. Paul. Don't rule out a Wilmington, North Carolina, even. You know what I mean? Don't rule these cities out, because on my experience, it's just on the East Coast of doing 95, Maine to Miami on Route 95. The second tier cities, as we would, refer them on our tour doc, were the greatest shows we did, because you're bringing something to that town and that area that they normally may not necessarily have. You're the event. You're the event for the town. Whereas if you're in Philly, man, you got to deal with Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, now the Union, the soccer team. It's more of a working blue collar town. You know what I mean? There's plenty of times, as coming up in the Philly scene and whatnot, you're playing a show and everyone's like, yeah, that's cute that you're doing your band practice over there, but can you keep it down? We're trying to watch the game. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But then when you go to a Wilmington, North Carolina, or you go to these places that that you become this event in the town, and everyone is gearing towards that. You know what I mean? like trying to get people out to shows and like in bigger cities where there's like more options for entertainment, it's pulling teeth because they could easily just go to the corner bar and watch the MMA fight. They don't have to drive from Montgomery County or take the train and the hour or so and try and park and pay the $20 for that and then pay the $10 door charge and then pay for overpriced PBRs. And you know what I'm saying? There's way more distractions or way more quote excuses, for them to just be like, nah, I'm kind of not feeling this. But when you go to these smaller towns where there ain't much happening, in not that there ain't much anything. It's Minneapolis. It's a big ass city. It's a larger city. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's not necessarily like an epicenter like a Chicago would be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
So it's like, like people gear up for that shit. I mean, we had people that were like, when I was in my old band, Messina, we had motherfuckers like contacting us like months ahead of the dates being like, we can't fucking wait, dude. We can't fucking wait. Like, so, what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, like I said, that is on a bucket list is to play in St. Paul, Minneapolis, play Madison, play all these like other areas where that people are ready to throw down and they want to party.
Hey, and for anyone interested, yeah, I do promote up here too.
There you go.
So
you got a plug. There you go. There's your plug. You got Doof plugging you. He's your plug in the Minneapolis scene. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Like, it's kind of cool too because like we have as the thing that bothers me most about Minnesotans is so many of us are so obsessed with the things that makes Minnesota special. Yeah, we're the cold state. We're the state that sucks. Woo! But we're also like, but we got Prince. And I'm like, all right, I'll take Prince.
Bathe yourselves in the cool waters of Lake Minnetonka. Okay?
Oh my God. Lake Minnetonka's okay. No cap. All right. So many people have told me like, dude, Lake Minnetonka. Lake Minnetonka is a trash place. All right. The lake is garbage. Everyone lives there is a complete asshole. Like these are all like $1 million houses everywhere, and they're just okay. So I was doing DoorDash, right? So I'm doing DoorDash, and I had to drive like 30 minutes from this burger place to this dude down in Lake Minnetonka. So I'm pulling up into this gated community, mind you. I had to pull up to this gate, talk to the security officer. I'll tell him, okay, I have an order for this guy. Show him my phone. He looks as like the little PDA thing, and he's like, all right, go on through. Cool. So I go down this guy's house. I pull up, and I'm looking at my phone and realize this guy never tipped me. This whole trip is $2.75. That's all I'm making for a 30-minute trip.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, okay, when I pull up, he might be like, okay, here's like a $10 cash tipper. No. I walk up to the front door. He opens the door, takes the food, looks me up and down. Not a word, just closes the door in my face. I'm like, bro.
There was a tweet. I know this is like tangent, but there was a tweet that somebody did. It was basically when poor people tip, they're like, hey, the bill was like 19 some dollars and we have a 40. Just give it to them. Yeah. Right. That's like how poor people will tip. Whereas rich people are like, oh, the bill came out to, this $11 tip on the $289 bill will make it 300 even, a nice even number. Right.
You think they will, but they don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. They say like you don't get rich by spending money.
I guess.
You know what I mean? You don't get rich by spending money. You don't get rich by being generous. You don't get rich by being nice to the delivery people. That's how he's able to keep, him stiffing you on even a 20 cent or a 40 cent tip. We'll just say it's 40 to 80 cent tip. If we're to be 20% accurate, that 80 cents is still for him to go put into something else to go become more rich.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you did labor for him. Right? You literally did fucking labor for him. That was below minimum wage. Significantly below minimum wage. Even for a pizza delivery driver,
God, right? Like it's just so weird. If I envision myself to be a rich dude, I'm gonna be like, go delivery guy. Like, hey man, I know the weather sucks, right? I know I had to drive a long way. Here, have an extra $30 or something. Have a little something. But no.
Or if you 305, it's at least a gallon of gas or whatever. Gallon or two of gas. Here's $5, man. This is for driving all the way fuck out here for my batteries because my Xbox controller died or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. It's just the funniest time. I'm just driving like, just driving like all this way, sweat profusely, just like, motherfucker, should have accepted this. Here are your batteries. Thanks, man. I can play Fortnite again.
Yeah, I go back to Fortnite. You're literally seeing that in Twitch commercials and Twitch ads now for DoorDash of like, get your gamer fuel. And like, oh, I need batteries. And like, you literally send somebody out to buy you batteries at 7-Eleven so you can turn around and stiff them on the tip because you didn't want to sit there and disconnect and log off and touch some grass and breathe some nitrogen for 5 minutes as you go to the fucking store. God, we suck.
And there's so many streamers I've talked to as well, like, cause I'm looking for streamers to talk to and do the show with, and so these guys are like, oh yeah, they talk like they have to make all this money, and I'm like, you don't make, dude, you have like 30 followers on Twitch, shut the fuck up. Like, those
Man,
are the guys
and you know what? Be happy you have that, right?
I'm so happy
Because this is even, but that's what I'm saying is that like so many cats. Like I'm amazed that I got 400 followers on Twitch. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm blown away by that. You know what I mean? I'm blown away by the fact that that when I do stream and when I stream consistently, I'm getting paid. I'm breaking the threshold every month. I mean, they lowered it from 100 to 50, but even when it was still $100, I was getting paid every other month. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this has never happened before, right? Like the fact that like you got it, like you got something that it's the same thing. Like you can apply this to music too. It's like, yeah, it's good to have like goals of like growth and progress and these things, but be happy with what you got at the moment. You know what I mean? Like it's not a matter of a complacency, but of a matter of like, hey, you're doing something that tons of other people only wish they could be doing right now. Oh, yeah. And especially on Twitch. Do you realize that the average stat for Twitch is like 0 to 1 viewer, and that one viewer is usually you?
Yeah.
It's you monitoring your own stream. So the fact if you're like chilling with 3, you got 2 other motherfuckers out there who with all the, like I said about the options before we started the show, about all the different options and stuff like that people have, or when we started, of all the options on the internet, they chose you. They picked you.
Awesome.
Right? Like, and that's what I'm saying is that like that should be the motivator. But I mean, you see some cats out here, man, they get to a level and then all of a sudden it's like, I need more. And I blame Twitch for that. I blame Twitch because they've gamified metrics. They've turned Twitch into a video game in and of itself. Hey, are you broadcasting X amount of days per month? How many hours are you doing? You got to it's almost like the old NHL online team play from 2K10, where it was like you have to maintain a certain level of playing or you drop in rating and stuff like. Yeah, they used to do that. You had to unlock specific tiers, and that's how you got your bonus points towards your players' attributes. And if you're like team play or scoring or any of these things slip below certain grades, then you lose points. They pull points, and you have to recon and re-roll your character or your player again. You know what I'm saying? Like so. I mean, it added to the competition level of it, right? Because it made sure that people like played the game legit. But yeah, a lot of people got mad about that because they're like, bro, I'm getting bad stats because of my teammates. Like, I can't join a club. I can, I'm a pretty good offense. I was a defenseman in that game. I played even in real life when I played hockey. I was a defenseman. You know what I mean? And it's like defensemen were getting punished because it's like, dude, I don't score goals. That's not my job. Like my job is to throw the body, clear the front of the net, and clear the puck out of the zone on a breakaway. Like that's it. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm getting bad team play scores because my other my teammates are taking bad penalties. Like what? Huh? But they got rid of that system. Now it's just straight up. I forget how they do it now. I don't even think you just pick up an archetype. You just pick a body type, and then as you play, you get bonus badges, and then just add the stats. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, so of course I go out there as the defensive enforcer and just start laying body. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, man. I think the latest hockey game I played, what year? I think it was like, what year was it? I don't remember. It was a long time ago because the only I played religiously when I was younger. It was on the Nintendo 64. It was like NHL 2001.
Oh yeah, yeah. They also had NHL Hits, the
Oh
arcade
yeah.
game on that back then too. That was fun. That was great. You sit there and do the twirl after scoring a goal, and you twirl along the boards. It's awesome.
Yeah. Man, I kind of want to play a hockey game now. It's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's on.
damn.
They got them on PC now, so yeah, they got
do.
them through the EA store.
My PC's a lemon though, so yeah, my crew already knows for the next thing I'm investing for the studio, which is already has thousands of dollars put into it. Is got to get my switcher a proper mic. He has the old Yeti, which is all right, but also, and also got to get a new PC too because I feel like the stream quality could be a lot higher and faster if my PC could process things better. Because this thing was, I got this thing in 2014, and by then it was already outdated. It like, the graphics card is like 10 years old on this thing. It's disgusting. So
Yeah. Well, hey, crypto is failing, so that's going to mean a lot of graphics cards are going to come down in price.
I'm so happy about that. The whole crypto thing was a joke. Oh, I'm so glad it fell. I almost did. I almost
Yeah, I did as well, but yeah, I kind of just backed off because I was like, man, this is feeling like tulips. This is feeling a lot like tulips.
Wait, what's tulips?
So basically, one of the first ever scams ever in the history of like capitalism and this, that, and a third was Dutch tulips. And basically what it was is, oh, you can invest in fields of tulips. Well, then like a massive drought came and wiped out all the crop. And it was like investing, and again, you're investing in tulips, which is just it wasn't like a crop for food or anything involving any like real industrial use. It was of pure beauty, vanity, aesthetic investment, and it failed spectacularly.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in essence the first kind of NFT like crypto thing. It's like, oh, you get to own these tulips that nobody else has, that nobody else, blah blah blah. But then people realize, wait, I can just fucking grow tulips wherever, and a drought just came. So like, yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, a lot of this stuff. Same with gold. Gold in and of itself is a bit of like is kinds of Ponzi scheme-ish in that regard. Buy these gold coins. Yeah, and of course, as more people buy them and as more people mint them, they go down in value, but the motherfuckers are still charging the same price. So they're the ones, no matter what, no matter if there's 100 coins on the street or 100 million coins on the street, they still charge you $49.95 for a coin. And then when you go and try and sell that thing later, you'll be like, dude, this is useless. There's like a million of these out here. I'll give you $1. Right? Like,
I'm sure the diamond industry isn't like that, honestly.
only because there's one European company, De Beers, that basically controls the entire diamond trade.
Yeah, I know.
There's not one company controlling the gold trade, right? Anybody can get into it. Anybody can go link up with a minter and then just start trying to acquire gold. And even then, a lot of times you're not paying for a pure gold coin. It's maybe like 0.9999999% gold or some shit like that. The rest of it's a gold plated nickel, right? It's fugazi and shit. So the thing with diamonds though is this company okay, so the whole thing is diamonds are extracted from Africa through some very horrific labor practices. They're blood diamonds. They're blood diamonds. But somehow, magically, they go sit in the vault of some crusty ass European for like a year, and the blood just magically goes away. And now they're legit diamonds. And then they get sold to Steven Singer and all these other motherfuckers on the East Coast and whatnot. And then bang, that's how you get an engagement ring. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So until the artificial diamond market starts really taking off, to where the synthetic diamonds start becoming more of the thing on the consumer side as well as on the production side, De Beers is going to be able to control that shit for until that happens. So once an alternative is out there, or people are just like, fuck diamonds, you know what I mean? Like they're still gonna be able to control it. Unlike gold and unlike some of this other stuff.
I mean, I mentioned this before, like in an earlier podcast episode. I never understood the point of getting a diamond ring or something. Like, okay, like if someone wants to propose to me, give me like an Xbox, all right? Give me like I'm gonna wear a ring, cool, but I can use an Xbox, all right? So like, how do you know your partner loves you? She gave me an Xbox.
It was basically a form of dowry. Right.
Yeah,
It's basically a form of dowry that got murked up into because technically what you should be doing is giving the diamond to her dad or the father of the person you're proposing to. That's
Really?
technically what you should be doing. But they changed it up into this consumerism thing to where it's now you give it to her and it's supposed to be the signaling of commitment and blah, 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 blah. And yeah. Good old consumerism.
I just have this image of some guy's like, honey, I love you so much. You get on one knee, your whole family's here. Donald, can you come over here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, Don, can I ask you to have her hand in marriage? Here's the payment. Yeah.
Give him the gold diamond ring. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, humans have always given each other shiny things out of appreciation, this, that, and the third. But like this thing of engagement rings and whatnot, like it's purely just been a consumerized, a commodification of it. And like, oh, look, we have a product. You want to get married? There's a product, right? Instead of just like doing what my cousin and her husband did, saying, yeah, we're married now. Sign the certificate. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? Like they just did. There was no engagement rings. There was no wedding rings. There was nothing. They were just like, we're married now. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't need to do it in a church. Marriage is literally just a tax document. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Everything else about it is what you build with that other person. That's what you're all building together. You know.
True story. I actually am ordained. I did this in spite of my mom.
No, you know. Yeah, you know. You probably done a ton of like quote unquote alternative ceremonies before. Yeah.
But yeah, so while the cats are freaking out over there, they're getting fed, so they're anyway. So my mom was telling me, yeah, Brandon, my mom's super religious, which is fine. She's like, hey, so I go to these church groups and take these classes and stuff. And I'm a minister, now I'm ordained. And I'm like, well, you know, my coworker's ordained, and he didn't take any of these classes. And she's like, well, it doesn't count unless you go to these classes or do this stuff. And I argued with her, and I couldn't get her to budge. So I went on Google. I'm now certified by Minnesota as an ordained minister.
Hell yeah.
$50. So I'm ordained just to spite my mom. That's how petty I've been sometimes. Have you ever done anything like that? Where it's kind of like, I'm just gonna do it just to do it.
Yeah. Yes and no. And I mean, it's kind of fuzzy in the background, but it's you can see when I put my hand there.
Oh, that's cool.
That abolish ICE, Occupy ICE poster right there. So in 2018, in 2018, I had moved from Philadelphia to Tampa, Florida. And I, it was like post 2016. Everyone's like, fuck, man, what do we do? So I was, I linked up with the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, the Tampa branch. And I was just talking to a friend, Sid Eastman, rest in power. Sid passed away in 2018 after what I'm about to describe. I was just talking you know what, man? This Jeff Sessions ICE shit's fucked up. Yo, we need to bring some Occupy shit to Tampa. And she's like, be at the Idlewild House in Wednesday at 7:00. Leave your phone in the truck. All right. Oh. Yeah. So we went and basically planned Occupy ICE Tampa, and went and basically we shut down a DHS office for 12 days in July of 2018. Took over the Tampa news cycle. Basically, we embarrassed these chuds that tried to come out and try and fuck with us, and we embarrassed them on their own podcast and live streams, like absolutely took their manhood. Especially my one friend Dez, like just absolutely obliterated this guy named Cliff Geppert. And I actually did a podcast. If your audience may be familiar, if we're all in the same kind of streaks of the left here.
What's his name?
The guy or the
Cliff.
podcast?
The podcast too.
Okay, the guy's name is Cliff Geppert, and the podcast that I went on, Gephardt, Gephrdt or something like that. He's the guy that opened up that stupid coffee shop in Largo, the conservative grounds, the anti-Starbucks that everyone was popping off like a few years ago. So it was in 2019. So I went on this podcast called Minion Death Cult, which is a great podcast that likes to kind of keep an eye on all the boomer tier posting that's happening on Facebook. Well, this guy caught their radar, and I then went on the show to talk about my experience dealing with this guy one-on-one in person. And he is every bit the meme that you would think of when it comes to a Central Florida Trump supporting Gen X Zoomer, X-Zoomer, right? Like boomer type Gen Xer. He is every bit it. And the thing is like, he, especially that part of Northern Pinellas County where Largo is. We were in Tampa and he was based out of Largo, and he came across the bay and across the bridge to try and fuck with us, only to get embarrassed on his own stream.
Oh man.
And then rage commenting on our Facebook page about it. And like, dude, don't put in the newspaper that I'm not mad. Right. Like,
Don't put in the newspaper that I'm not mad.
You know what I mean?
Chud.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that he was rolling with is like this convicted felon, you know what I mean, for like bank fraud and shit like that and check fraud. The dude has shady funding, you know what I mean, like a lot of shady funding sources as to where his startup funds came from for this coffee shop. So it is 100% a money laundering. I'm calling it a money laundering operation. For like chud money and shit to like get it into the political sphere from some possibly ill-gotten gains, or to hide from the FEC. But this guy, he's one that he tried to came up, but on your like something on a whim, like that was it. Like it was I just saw this happening where kids are getting thrown in the fucking cages, and I'm just like, nah, this shit ain't cool. And then all of a sudden, within a week, we're dominating the Tampa news cycle and the Tampa news media and shutting down a building for 12 days. Like aside from the chuds, the Tampa cops, man, and the state police did anything and everything they could. They had people like dressed up like joggers, like walking past, like running past, and then trying to snap photos of us. So I would just stand there and be like, give him my full name and be like, yeah, Google me. Please Google me. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you get my good side. You know what I mean? And eventually they stopped because they were just like, we can't intimidate these people.
No.
And the only reason it shut down was because we decided to escalate. We were doing like small escalations of encroachment onto the property. Our one comrade did the legal work and found that the area we camped on was city easement, and they couldn't do a damn thing about it. They couldn't because they didn't put up the anti-camping ordinances at that time. That happened after our thing went down.
You were the reason
even if they
why
went,
they put it up.
What's that?
You guys are the reason why they have anti-camping ordinances now.
In a way, yeah. I mean, in part that because they wanted to, because especially during 2020, there was there were people doing the Occupy tactic again,
Yep.
especially in like, you know, politicians' houses and their property. But then also because it's just anti-homeless. You know what I mean? There's just more and more people becoming houseless. So we just need to sweep this under the rug. And that's literally what it's doing. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't going to be long. Like, I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to start setting up like the segregated districts that led to the Bell riots. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's it's coming. Like, I know it's like, oh my God, he's being hyperbolic. No, I mean, they're going to start doing it where it's like, okay, we can't do anti-camping. There's just way more houseless people now. So we're just going to segregate y'all into a section of the city, and then that's that. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was really cool. I think it happened here in Minneapolis. I remember seeing it somewhere there. they actually have this giant like indoor thing, and there's like tons of like mini houses. It's pretty much just like a single bedroom, and that's it. It's for homeless people, and they have a center there to help you get jobs. It's an address. They have a phone, internet, like all this stuff there. It's like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of cool. It's like a mini house inside this big building.
Yeah, those work. The mini house inside of a building works.
Yeah,
they're trying to put these sheds up outdoors. And like, I don't know if you ever spent time in a wood shed, but yeah, that shit ain't insulated, and it sure as shit ain't warm or cool when you need it to be. You know what I mean?
Trump
Like,
did at one point to people when he took everyone off that one island and just put people in shacks, and people ended up burning alive or some shit like that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can't say I've heard this one. Be honest, but no. It's yeah, like I said on the whim thing. That was probably the most on the whim thing you could say I did. You know what I mean? It was well, like we all did. You know what I mean? It was just like, fuck it, we're just occupying this fucking bill with this property. Oh yeah, so and then, like I said, the only reason it ended was because we were just doing small escalations of encroachment onto the property itself. We would go and do banner drops. We would go and sticker the doors. We would go and just stand in the parking lot and then have the fat security guard try and chase us and then step off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We would like literally play keep away with these dumb motherfuckers. And then they just said, fuck it, we're going hard. And five people, including Sid, went and they bike locked their necks to the door, and they shut the building down like for 12 to 16 hours as they had cut them out, as they had to cut the locks off them and whatnot.
Ooh, that sounds
but yeah,
really uncomfortable. I could never do that. Good on them. I would never do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardcore motherfuckers, man. I can't tip the hat enough to the activists that work here in the South. Nothing against the people that doing work in the blue states in the North, the greater North and Pac North or West Coast or whatever, or East Coast. But man, there's something about like the not give a fuck that they have down here, you know, and especially in these states which are open carry, you know what I mean? Like you run you have like I said, we had not so much the threat was equal from the cops as well as the chuds. Plenty of them out there talking big about like, yo, we're gonna come fuck you up, and like, all right, come through then.
I think it's the first thing about right wingers. They're always like alpha. You know, they'll talk about how like they're so like, you know, like we're not afraid of anything. Oh, you guys are all idiots, and then they're here making up their own conspiracy theories, being afraid of it. They're talking about the Matrix, like fucking Logan Paul. They're like,
which is hilarious because guys like Tate and Logan Paul and even a Richard Spencer, like they sit there and act like, oh, we're the ones that can relate to the lumpen. You know what I mean? Like we're the ones that can relate to the dirty hand mechanic boys and this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, you are the same elitist, effete, fancy lad that those dirty hands don't like. Oh, yeah. You're fancy lads. You're not these bastions of this like, oh, tough guy masculinity on a job site. Bro, I was a pipe layer in Florida. Right, like I was laying, you know, not that kind, well, that kind of pipe too. No, but I was a pipe layer in Florida while we were doing Occupy ICE. Right, yeah. Like we, you know, so I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, leave my house at 6, get to the job site at 7, lay a quarter mile or more of fucking sewer pipe, right, out in the July Florida sun, come home, take a shower, and then get back to the occupation site by 7, 8 p.m. and run nighttime security and run the overnights.
Oh, that's good for you.
No, yeah, it was pretty brutal. And then I'd be there until about like 3 o'clock in the morning, hurry up and get home, get about maybe an hour of sleep, and then wake up and do all that shit again. I'd sleep on my lunch breaks. Sometimes I'd catch a nap. Someone else would run security, so I'd catch a nap. You know what I mean? But like, that's what I'm saying is that like a Jackson Hinkle or an Andrew Tate or a Logan, any of these guys, like, dude, get on a pipe crew. Get on a pipe crew in the fucking South in the middle of the summer, and then let me see what you think about like tough guy masculinity at that point. Because a lot of them dudes, like I said, they just see you as fancy lads. And second off, a lot of them are gonna even tell their kids, I'm busting my ass to get you through college so you don't have to do this.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? My father was a diesel mechanic for like his entire life, a heavy machinery diesel mechanic. We're talking D5s, we're talking giant ass earth movers, excavators, you name it. This motherfucker worked on. He's fallen off of machines and shit before, right? Like gotten injured and whatnot. And and I told him when I was growing up, because he was a mechanic, I'm like, show me the trade. Show me the trade. He's like, no, you're not doing this. You'd be a fucking idiot if you did this line of work. You know, like he don't glorify it. None of them do. So it's just funny when you see guys that, like I said, are just as much of the cosmopolitan, effete elitists that they claim is the Matrix and don't know what real masculinity is. Go out there and talk, do a hype man for guys that don't even want their kids doing this shit. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's so amazing. That's what's so amazing to me. And then you can even tell because like a lot of the people that they attract, these young men, these 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds and shit, right? Like they themselves are deluded as to what it entails for that line of work. And that's why they all buy into the bullshit together. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, because again, like I said, go work a pipe crew, dude. Go work a pipe crew. Go drop 48-inch fucking concrete storm pipe into the ground. You know, as the tail. Do it. You know what? Do it as the top man. I'll even give you one of the quote easier jobs on a pipe crew. Be the top man. That's the guy that helps strap the pipe onto the machine and sets it up and then sends it down to the tail man, who's the one that actually levels it, grades it, and pushes it into the belt. Right? Do a top man for a season, and then let me see what you think about that shit.
God, I didn't. You know what I mean? Like for last summer, it was hell, dude. Yeah. That's why I quit because they were like, okay, so what? First off, they'll lie to you. They'll tell you, okay, so the guy told me it's 4 10-hour days. Okay, I can do 4 10-hour days. Yeah, we don't work Fridays ever. Okay, this doesn't sound too bad. Does it pay well? What's already up $23 an hour in Minnesota? I don't know what's like down there, but up here it's okay. That would be really good here, but again, like you know what I mean. It's all about the aspect, you know. But then the thing is, our cost of living here in Charleston has been starting to go through the roof. So like that 23 may not be shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like a good example, Florida has become California in terms of economics, in terms of just inaffordability. Yeah, really?
Yeah, Florida rents in Tampa, Miami, and Orlando are par with Sacramento, San Francisco, and LA at this point.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I was working. So I get there, like now we lied. It's 14-hour days, and sometimes Fridays, and I'm like, okay, so it eats your week. Your entire life is dedicated to this job, and everyone there is miserable. Nobody wants to be there, but they all have this mindset like, this is how life is. This is normal. This is how it should be. And I'm like, why the fuck am I dedicating my entire life to be miserable? Like, why do you want to do this? They want to do this for the rest of their lives. And that blows my mind. And what's even worse was we got like a holiday. Let's see, we had like Martin Luther King Day off or something like that. Or maybe like, we got a Monday off for some reason. Like Labor Day, right?
Labor Day, yeah.
We'll get like Labor Day off. Well, they'll just move Labor Day to Friday. The days we're supposed to get off. So we didn't get a day off at all. And, like, what bothers me is these companies keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what bothers me most is there's a middle management, the guys who do the bids and everything. They don't have the manpower to do it, but they don't give a shit. They'll make everyone the lower rung, run them dry, run 24/7 if they could, all the time. But they get their bonuses in the end, so who cares? And it just blows my mind how, like, so many people buy it. You're right, that mindset, like, this is what my life should be about. I don't know if your pipe laying was that brutal, but was it that brutal?
It can be, because I mean, well, the company I worked for was just a crap ass, shit ass company to begin with. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they were just not safe. Like every OSHA fucking violation you could think of, like they saw it as a target list, right? As a goal, right, and not as a warning. Yeah. I mean, and it was also the thing too, is we were only supposed to work 7 to 3, but then it was starts getting pushed further and further and further. You know what I mean? And it's just like, bro, I got a life outside of this. My life isn't a pipe layer. I got a protest to go fucking help, right? Like,
Hell yeah. Man, I never see when we had the protests up here in Minneapolis. It sucked. I wanted to go, but the problem is I was a painter at the time, and the company was making work long hours too. So I'd come home after working as a painter after like a 10, 11-hour day, and I'm like, do I really want to go down to the protests? I'm so tired.
Right.
And then, but we also had the problems up here with the writing was really bad. Like right down the street where I lived, there's like 3 places that burned down. Like, it's kind of scary. Yeah, I'll make this clear to a lot of people. There's a big difference between protesters, like what PJ's talking about, and rioters who are just rioting for the sake of taking advantage of the situation. So there's these dudes my roommates knew. These guys are some of those people. Like, yeah, we're down there. We showed the man. These guys burned down. The whole point was about racism and fairness and everything, right? That's the whole point. These guys helped burn down a black business, stole the liquor, stole the money, and we're like, yeah, this is for justice. And I honestly, that also really turned me off to trying to go to these protests, because a lot of these protests turned into that, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that to me was that was fucked up. So
regarding
just burning down everything, because they never attacked anything that had anything like of any
yeah,
value,
I mean, and that's the thing too, is we also saw like even in instances like throughout 2020 in all the various cities, like we saw that there were just Asian provocateurs that were out there just doing this shit. I mean, they found out it was an alt-right chud that fucking burnt the Knoxville, Tennessee courthouse, the brick courthouse down. They got him on video doing it. It was the Umbrella Man. All of a sudden, he's a St. Paul cop, and he's walking around smashing out AutoZone windows, dressed like one of the Hong Kong protesters. You know what I'm saying?
Nazis coming up here too.
What's that?
We actually had Nazis like driving up here. Like we'd have like the National Guard going on patrol and stuff, because the biggest problem is Nazis going around.
Like this isn't on that scale of like property destruction or what have you, prop destruction. But we saw firsthand in a city just outside of Tampa, Newport Richey, during 2020, these chuds that were not from Newport Richey coming to Newport Richey to harass the citizens of Newport Richey that were like protesting and they absolutely needed to protest for better policing protocols and this, that, and the third in the Newport Richey Police Department. To the point where like one woman pulled out a spray can and sprays like BLM on the street, and then goes and runs to the cop and says like, look what they did. And it's like, we got you on fucking camera, Nancy. Like literally have you on fucking camera doing this. Right. And like literally like, yeah, I mean, there was numerous times in Tampa where motherfuckers like tried to, crack shit up and then point to BLM and the other activists that were marching, be like, they did it. It's like, bro, they're like 2 blocks away. How did they do this when you're the one standing here? It's literally the guy in the hot dog suit. We're all trying to find the guy that did this. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally the meme. Literally.
She still has a paint can in her hand and everything. Look what they did.
It literally got and she did it in blue. She did it in blue because they were going around doing like Blue Lives Matter shit all across the town. It's like, again, wearing the hot dog suit. We're all trying to find the guy that's responsible.
Oh my God. I'm so glad 2020 is over. That year was something else. We learned a lot of shit. I think they kind of, I don't want to say like a political war, because it's not real. That's what Steven Crowder wants to push, so he can sell you his fucking mug. If you know who Steven Crowder is.
Fun Steven Crowder tidbit.
Oh, you know Steven Crowder? Hell yeah.
He as of today, like he's warring against Glenn Beck because he doesn't feel Glenn Beck is paying him enough. So now he's making Glenn Beck out to be this like sleeper cell fake conservative that's aligning with big tech, trying to keep him down.
No way.
Yep. So Chowderhead and the quartering Jeremy Hamlin
The quartering,
are
dude,
going
yes.
to go and try and start their own media empire.
Oh my
They're going to
god.
start. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like on an economic argument, I Crowder has a point. He's getting big time by Glenn Beck because Crowder is the one that does way better in terms of metrics,
Yeah.
YouTube and Twitter engagements and everything else like that. Like he does way better than Glenn Beck. So if he's he's the star player on that Blaze platform, then you should be paying your star player. The Baltimore Ravens are about to deal with this with Lamar Jackson in the offseason coming up. So you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I mean, he should get paid for what he brings to that platform. But the fact that he's sitting there and turning it into like, he's actually aligned with big tech, rather than being like, bro, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach like LeBron did. You know what I mean? Like, just take your talents elsewhere or start your own thing. But you have to make it this big victimhood, like coddling event. You know what I mean?
Dude.
Like, feel bad for me, the guy that already has more subscribers than the Blaze. You know what I mean? Like, shut up, dude. Like,
God, yeah, dude. Like, oh my god, I think one of my favorite moments of all time because I'm not a Steven Crowder fan. I hate this dude. I look once in a while. I'll peek in. Like, is there anything I can goof on him for? No, he's just doing the same old bullshit. Well, my favorite thing he's ever done though, H3 covered this. I'm a big H3 fan. Ethan Klein was gonna debate him, and then Ethan did like a whole bait and switch with Sam Cedar. No, that was Tim Pool. Oh,
no, it was Crowder. No, basically
Crowder. Okay.
what it was. Yeah. So basically what it was is that Ethan did a reply to Crowder over COVID stuff. Crowder was like, "Why don't you come debate me then?" Right?
Yeah.
That shit. So Ethan's like, "All right." And then basically set up like a special side Discord Skype call to pipe in Cedar to the recording of this debate. And that's when the infamous oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare meme started, right? That's where that came from. The funny thing is that people got to realize is that for all the talk that Crowder was doing about I don't pay attention to Sam, to Sam, they were monitoring Sam's show because they wanted to make sure that Sam was live, right? And that he could, and that they scheduled the debate for like 9:00 LA time. That's why fucking Ethan is like looks tired as shit and so out of it and yada yada because he's wanting him to do it at 9 a.m. Whereas I think Crowder's in Texas, so it was like he's got a 2-hour time zone difference. A 1 hour or some shit. So it was like 11 a.m. for him, and it was 12 o'clock on the East Coast.
And he was drinking all the coffee, man. This fucking mugs of war.
Right. So the thing is that there were 2 phone calls that happened between Ether and Chowderhead. The first one started up, and then Chowder quickly canceled it because Ethan sent a text to Sam saying, "Yo, we're going on now, and end your show. Come on over." And I remember because I watch Majority Report almost religiously, but I remember Sam like, "Oh, okay, we got to get going. We got to go now. All right, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye." They didn't do a fun half. They didn't do nothing. The show was barely 45 minutes of them just kind of bullshitting like we are about the news or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So then the next time, they literally set up a pre-record where they did the show live, made sure they were all wearing the same clothes for continuity, and then ran a pre-recorded interview and made it sound like they were live so that Sam could dip over into the call and get that famous, "Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare."
That's funny.
Yeah, but it just goes. But like to that point, it's just like, bro, if Sam Cedar is so innocuous to you, or if he's so irrelevant, why are you monitoring his show?
Why they? Because they're terrified. Because if they don't give him any credit, because if you give him credit, they lose. That's why they can't give this guy credit. So they got to downplay him.
That's what it is, because they saw what happened with Charlie Kirk. They saw what happened with Dylan Perry. They saw what happened with the tons of other right wingers that have called into that show. They know the dude knows his shit.
Oh yeah.
And look, he has some blind spots. I'm not gonna. He's not perfect. Nobody is. Right? He does have some blind spots when it comes to things. I especially, I mean, but the blind spots aren't that much of a net negative where he punches left, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, he may be off about, like, say, the finer points of anarchism versus communism or what have you, but he's not punching left when he does that. You know what I mean? He just has a confusion on it because he's not versed in it or what have you. Like stuff like that. But a lot of, whereas you would see other like liberal-minded streamers, they punch left. And it's like, dude, that's a net negative, right? Yeah. Like, that's a net negative because you're basically just giving cover to the right wing at that point. The leftist doesn't control. The left controls nothing in this country, right? Like, there's not a significant left in this country, and it's not poo-pooing the efforts of the people that are out there working for it. But compared to Colombia, compared to your average South Central American country where they actually have a Marxist political party and leftist political parties, what do you have here in the States? DSA, okay, it's not really a political party, and it's kind of like a decentralized organization of activists. Like it doesn't work lockstep like a party does. Like there's no DSA vanguard that's going into Tampa and Orlando chapters, making sure that they all follow, the strict tenets of national. You know what I mean? Like that. And then again, that's not what DSA was built around. That's not what it was formed around. It was supposed to be decentralized. It's supposed to be individualistic or individualistic on a chapter sense. Like that's kind of the beauty of it. Because like, hey, one chapter likes electoral. Well, then this chapter does more direct action. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, whatever works though.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if there was more of a cohesion, but I don't think you get that from like a DSA because again, that's not in their genetics, quote unquote, but it is in the labor unions. It is with labor. It is with I mean, and that's the thing. Like I said, we're starting to see some of that, especially like left laborism. We're starting to see that with ALU and Starbucks and this push by workers to be like, man, fuck you. This is my schedule. Suck my dick. You know what I mean? Like, people having no problem telling their bosses to go suck their ass. You know what I mean? The whole quiet quitting thing. Working to contract, work to rule. Like people are like, look, I only work 7 to 3, and come 3:01, don't talk to me. You want me to work more? Pay me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're starting to see that at least on a cultural basis, which is nice. And I'll even give you a little fun fact. One of the books that the Amazon Labor Union Executive Committee read was Lenin's State and Revolution. They were reading that book. Vladimir Lenin, the guy that was basically led the. I mean, I'm not familiar with it either, but like it's a book that basically was like okay, here is how we frame the state, here is how we combat it, and this is how we organize. That's literally what State and Revolution is. It's a guidebook on how to organize resistance and political change. It was a book that was circulated heavily amongst black activists in the South during Jim Crow. They were all reading Lenin because they're like, yo, this motherfucker overthrew a king, right? This motherfucker overthrew a monarchy. So if he can fucking do it, right? And that was the thing. There was a story, I forget. They were talking with an elderly black man who was a part of the activists and the resistance in the Black Belt in Alabama in like the 40s and 50s. And they said, what was your training? And he basically he went and grabbed his copy of State and Revolution and a couple of shotgun shells. And he said, theory and praxis. That's how we did it. It was theory and praxis. And like I said, like look, I'm an old man. I'm going to be 42.
You're 42?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm going to be 42 this year.
I thought you were younger than I was.
Oh, thank you.
I was like, this guy's like 25 or something. I was like, damn.
But yeah, my coming of age at 18, 19, 20 years old was 9/11. It was the Bush years.
Oh yeah.
It was, and then seeing Obama and so forth and so on. And the thing is that I just remember just even giving a hint of talking about Medicare for all, of like, yeah, we should just have a universal Canada, not even calling it Medicare for all. We should just have a system. You fucking commie. Why don't you go to fucking China, you fucking commie? Now Medicare for all is like a major tenant and a leverage point amongst the younger voting blocks. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of working. Like, it's doing a lot of good. Like, because I remember that too. I remember the big pushback against it too. It's gonna fail. It's gonna crumble everything. And, you know, like, it wasn't. We all know Obamacare wasn't perfect. I think we can all admit it wasn't perfect. I mean, I'm not a big political guy, but I do know it's not perfect. But they've been trying to improve on it ever since. And even Trump even said it's garbage. But now Trump, even he's looked at it at some point. I don't like Trump, but he's like, there's some good aspects to it, and we can make it work.
Well, because the thing was, like, if for someone that's more into, not saying you, but just a general person that is more into reformist style capitalism, that would have worked if they included the public option, which is allow me at my age and you at your age to buy health insurance from Medicare. Yeah. Right? To go buy, like, instead, you know, we have public options in our society. The U.S. Postal Service is a public option. Now, that one, this is a bit reversed because that one came first, then DHL, Wells Fargo, UPS, all these other ones came after. Yeah. But if you don't have to use UPS, you can go to the United States Postal Service to do your deliveries and your mailing. If the United States Postal Service gets privatized and or did not exist, there's nothing stopping UPS from charging you $30 a mile to deliver a package. Yeah. There's nothing stopping them, right? The only thing that's stopping them is they have to compete against an entity that's only charging you $7 for the entire trip, or even $5 for a ship anything box, right? So that's what forces UPS and FedEx to improve efficiency, keep cost and pricing low, and all these things, right? So if you did that with health insurance, if Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield or whomever the fuck, right? You know, Geico even, like, if you sat there and had them, force them to compete against an entity that doesn't have to worry about turning over a profit, they will absolutely start dropping their prices. Oh yeah. Because that's the thing. Why would I go to the private company that's going to take $160 out of every single one of my paychecks when I can go with the government who's only going to charge me $60? Yeah. I'm gonna save $100. You know, like, will it be the best service? Well, it depends on which doctor buys into the network. Yeah. That's all that, you know, which is the same thing that happens with your private insurance. It's the same thing that happens there. Right? And in fact, it's worse because now you're paying a shit ton of money and you may or may not have your doctor in network. Your guy, you could switch jobs. Go on to Cobra and then get off of Cobra to on your new company's policy, and then all your specialists, all your doctors, all your GPs not in network. And now you got to go and establish a new relationship. First, you got to find one that you like, and then establish the relationship and the rapport with them. And I mean, and this is before I even talked about you getting a fucking little hammer on to you know, before you even go into the exam room to get checked out. This is paperwork. This is literally just paperwork. It's asinine. Yeah,
some things just go too far. For me.
Real fast. The other thing was the public option. The real thing that killed Obamacare or the ACA was the Rubio amendment and the Kingman amendment. And basically, what they did was the system was set up that, hey, insurance companies, we're going to have this pool of money called the risk pool, right? And for every dollar that you have to spend on a high-risk patient, because we are mandating that you take everybody regardless of prior conditions and previous condition shits, right? Yeah. Regardless, you have to take these people. We understand that's going to hurt your business a little bit. You know, all of a sudden, a stage 4 cancer survivor, you got to fund them. They haven't paid much into your company, but now you got to pay out for them. So we're going to have a risk pool. You bring us these cases, and we will do a dollar for dollar match, 1-to-1. So you spend $100 on that stage 4 cancer patient, we will give you $100. AK, they're just going to print the money. They just literally just print the fucking money and balance transfer. The Fed just creates it, right?
Yeah.
So Rubio and Kingman basically combined and worked together in the Senate and the House, Jack Kingman, and they basically stripped the risk pool from $1 to dollar to 13 cents on the dollar. That is what caused the exchange to collapse back in 2015. It was like, I think it was when Obama was in office, or it was when Obama was in office. Kingman retired by that point. So it was like towards the end of Obama's second term. That's when we all of a sudden, like the health marketplace website, like not physically crashing, the exchange collapsed because all these companies pulled out. They pulled their listings off of the website. They said, we're not doing this. We can't, you're screwing us out of 87 cents on the dollar here right now. Like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah. And they all left. And that's what caused the marketplace to collapse, because there wasn't anything or anybody in there that was dealing with it, right? Unless there was a company that didn't have a lot of high-risk patients involved. And usually those are the ones that have the more concierge, expensive Cadillac service, and usually cater to young people, because young people are healthy, they have money, and they don't enact the insurance as much. So these motherfuckers are literally just sitting back collecting. They just literally collect in a bag over and over and over again. So that's why, like, for me, like, the middleman is the insurance. That's why you just do, hey, a Medicare for all system, the government literally just pays the people actually doing the work, which are the doctors, the nurses, the GPs, and the medical staff. The fact that we have to go through a middleman of an insurance company, like, who isn't there arguing for our best interests, right? At the same time, this insurance agent guy or actuary will go to the hospital and try to get the price down below the hospital's operating cost. That's why the hospitals have to come at you with $500 Tylenol pills, right? Yeah. Because if they don't want, the hospital's not trying to screw you. The hospital's trying to protect itself against the insurance company, because if they gave you the actual cost of the Tylenol pill, $2, the insurance company's gonna be like, we're only gonna pay you 75 cents for it. Yeah. Well, the hospital's gonna go out of business, because they're going to be, so even if the hospital was like, all right, the pills cost $2, we're going to charge you $1, make a 50% markup on this. They still going to come back and be like, nah, the insurance company only be like, we only paying $1.10, still below the cost of the operating cost. So that's why they got to come at you so hard. The hospital it's not that the hospital trying to fuck you. They're trying to protect themselves against the insurance company. So you have an insurance company that's doing that, trying to screw the hospitals out of payment. And then at the same time, this same agent is going to turn around, and you'd think that, oh, they're fighting for me, they're trying to protect me. No, they then turn around and be like, all right, after like reassessing this and after getting the price knocked down, yeah, we still ain't covering it. Tough shit. Yeah. Have fun. You know what I mean? Like, so who are they really in this for? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we know the answer, but who are they really in this shit for?
There's a lot of shit that's really messed up. And I do agree with that. I also had an idea of, how, like, so people give me so much shit for not everybody. Some people give me shit for this idea. But what if we had government run hospitals? There is no middleman.
We did.
We should have those.
We did at one point, and then we privatized the fuck out of all of it during Reagan.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why. Yeah. A lot of these things we had were. And they were important, not just for the economic standpoint of it, but there was also, like, it brought about a social cohesion where you had these services that were being provided by the state to assist workers and help workers and provide a foundation for workers to go and actualize in their own lives and do their thing and families and yada, 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 right? But then all of a sudden there was a group, like the investor class hated the New Deal. We had these things for 70 years, like since FDR put them in place with the Wagner Act all the way up until the mid 70s. So about like 30 years, right? So it was like 30 years. it brought some form of now granted, yes, this is also the same era of civil rights and Jim Crow and segregation, and FDR failed with that in terms of the New Deal in the South. But in terms of like the working class, it was building these social cohesions that was to act as the antidote and the vaccine against fascism, right? Because the reason like fascism came about because there was a breakdown of all the social bonds and all the social cohesion in these European societies, especially after the First World War and then the Great Depression hit and all the economic fallout that went down. So that's when you had people feeling alienated, feeling alone, feeling kind of sounding familiar, feeling disconnected from their communities and from their things. Because prior to that, even in these European societies, especially in the American society, shit was privatized. A lot of shit. There was some privatization, and then the Ham went hardcore and just basically privatized everything. So that's what it was. Is that FDR and Maynard James Keynes, the economist that was working with them, was basically who gave Keynesian economics, was basically like, yeah, you do these things to keep the revolution from happening, right? And in fact, FDR's first round of reforms to fix the Great Depression failed miserably. They failed horrifically. In fact, it may have made parts of the Depression worse for what he initially tried to do. And that's when 40 million communists, unionists, socialists, leftists, name them, in this country collectively went to FDR and basically said, if you don't fix this, we're bringing Bolshevism to the United States. And then boom, here comes the New Deal. It was to prevent revolution. It was to stop revolution from happening. And basically FDR then goes to the investor class and says, hey, look, if you want to keep a lot of your money, you need to give some of it away. Okay? If not, I can't stop these pitchforks and torches from coming to the Hamptons. And I have to, and do I have to remind you that the Hamptons is not a defensible position? Okay, it is an island surrounded by water on three sides with one bridge in and out of the community. The National Guard ain't going to save your ass. So, we're gonna do this, right? And most of them went along with it, except for a few of them that tried to coup him with General Smedley Butler. But fortunately, Smedley Butler was down and said, nah, you ain't doing this fascism shit on my watch. Busted and stopped what was known as the Wall Street Putsch, a.k.a. the Newtown Square business plot, which happened right outside of Philadelphia.
Well, shit. We gotta learn something today.
Yeah, Smedley Butler, hero of Westchester, Pennsylvania.
All right. We gotta close out here soon, but I do got one more. I got one more topic. What was the topic? What I hit up about? Hold on a sec. Switch me real quick. It was where was it? Oh yeah. So. Oh crap! I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna fix this one.
That's right. Yo, stereo vision. Let's go.
Stereo. All right. So you've been in a band before, right? I mean, obviously, right? You've been in bands and stuff. So, like, how do you deal with tinnitus? Like, I don't think not everyone understands what I mean by this. So, if you're especially in a metal band or like a rock band, the problem with being in a group like this is you have to have everything keep up with the drum kit, and the drum kit by itself is loud. There's not much a drummer can do. If you can play softly, that's fine, but that's kind of hard to do. It's going to be loud. So you have to have the guitars ramp it up. You have to have the bass ramp it up. And then you have to have, as a singer, I have to have my shit ramped up. So I get this whole wall of super loud sound hitting me at all times. Even with earplugs, I can't hear myself too well. It sucks. So how do you deal with tinnitus? Because I have no idea. I just kind of sit home in bed after band practice, and just my ears are going.
Yeah, you get the rings. The rings of the angels.
The rings of the angels.
So part of it is you have to analyze the space that you're playing in. Is there enough dampening? Do you have enough damp? Because a lot of the times what'll happen to volume wars is you're getting a lot of bouncing of the sound waves in the room, right? Yeah. And it's clipping stuff, and it's you're phasing on over each other, and it's like, oh, I can't hear this one part, and it leads to you jacking up the volume. So what I think it is that you have to analyze the space that you're in. If you're in a really, really tight space, maybe think about moving somewhere bigger, into a bigger space, right? I'm sure in Minneapolis, St. Paul, just like in Philly, just like in Tampa, they probably have rehearsal studios they're called music factories.
Unfortunately,
which are like,
we had one, and they shut it down for more fucking apartments. Like
of course,
it's the biggest frustration because in Minneapolis, they shut down more. I've never seen more businesses shut down. There's parks destroyed. Everything's apartment buildings. Everything's apartment buildings, and it's driving me nuts. And so they tore down the practice space we had because there's maybe 100 bands playing there. It's all gone for more apartment buildings. And really, the truth about Minneapolis right now, there's maybe a total of I don't know, maybe 40 businesses. The rest of it's apartments. It's a city entirely of apartments, and it blows my mind. I don't get where people are freaking working. It's like all that's here is places to live. There's nowhere to get anything. Everything's outside the cities at this point.
Right.
It's just frustrating. So we lost our practice space.
I mean, it's also it's unfortunately the cost of doing business with stuff. So yeah, I mean, if you can get into a bigger area. Another thing too is especially in metal music, look at where everyone's EQ is at. I know in metal, especially growing up, I did it too. We all, guitar players, we all love the scoops.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We all love scooping mid-range. But add mid-range. Put mid-range into your EQ. Because that's the guitar's home base, is that mid-range knob. That is how you cut. That is how you slice through a mix. Go with the 6-6-6 setting. 6 bass, 6 mid, 6 treb. Right? And the 6 on the gain, right? Have them watch the gains. It's a matter of putting the instruments into their frequency range home base, right? Because then that is how you're going to be able to hear it better, which in turn may lead you to not have to turn up decibel wise, right? Because at this point, what happens with volume wars is people turn up because they're losing clarity. Clarity and volume are not the same things. They are vastly different, right? It's one thing I do with this bass, on this cabinet that I got. I mean, let's see if you can see when I put my hand to it. There it is. Kind of. I mean, I got the background fuzzed out, right? But basically, it's a Fender Rumble 500, not the newer ones. It's one of the older ones from about 12 years ago. It's a Fender Rumble 500 head with a 2x8 cabinet on the top and a 1x10 cabinet on the bottom. It also has the ability to turn the horns either off, half power, or full power. So what I do is on the bass, on the bottom speaker, I turn the horn completely off. On the top, the 2/8s, I turn the horn completely on because I want my high end for the clarity, the note clarity, near my head more. I don't want it in the feet. I want the bass in the feet. Because that's going to roll off the stage and hit people in the chest. Remember how bass frequencies work? They come out the speaker and literally drop to the floor, right? They come out and they drop, and then they pretty much run the floor. It's more of a slow moving vibration. To quote Bill Hicks. Whereas like mid range it projects, and high range they throw, right? It's so keeping that in mind, keeping some of the physics in mind with it, is how you can set everybody's EQ and get everything to comfortable volume levels, right? Amp position, right? I know now it is good to practice with the amps along the drum kit because that's what you're going to be doing on stage. Yeah. But even if it's just a songwriting session, maybe think of turning the amps backwards, right? Flip the cabinet to point to the wall and flip the head around so you have your dials right there, right? There was a club, I think it was Finnegan's Wake. Yeah, they used to do that. They would have you come in and basically flip your cabinets. They would put metal bands on in this room, and it was a stone room. I'm talking slate fucking stone everywhere. It like you would think it would be a nightmare for the high end because it's just bouncing everywhere. But they actually had it mixed really good. Like they were able to compensate for that with compressing and limiting and EQ cancellation, right? By tuning the monitors and the speaker to the room and cutting out frequencies or boosting certain ones. And they would have you put your amps backwards. So you get a good stage volume, you get your tubes cooking, you know, because we understand, look, tube amps need to cook. And not everyone can afford, and not everyone has a power break, like the Marshall power break to an attenuator. So where you can cook the amp super hot, but keep the volume super low. So they let you cook them. The drummer was behind the shield and it sounded great. It sounded great for even the most insane tech death metal bands that you could fucking think of out of Philadelphia and you know? And then you go to some of the speaker on sticks, like speaker on stick gigs, as we would call them, you know, at some of these little hole in the wall bars. And it was just an absolute mess because the room was not set up for it. It was even rough on some of the bands that, you know, like kind of like Kurt Vile or War on Drugs, Cold War Kids sounding bands in that area that I was friends with. And then they go play places like Third and South or whatever. And again, speaker on sticks, you know, underpowered PA, you know, no one's running anything except vocals through it, you know, but stage volumes are a mess because everyone's trying to project and free fire into the room, as I would call it, as well as hear themselves and hope the audience hears them. You know, the lead guitar player is turning up louder than the other guy, a little bit, you know.
You need a sound guy for these venues for sure. I mean, I that's one of my biggest things when I have a venue. The sound guy is like one of the most important things because I keep telling them, like, bring your heads. I got the cabs. Bring your heads. We got a mixer. Keep your shit, like, don't go as loud as possible. I'll tell you what you need to do. Don't come in here with trying to blast everyone's ears out because nobody wants to hear that.
Listen to your sound guys. Yeah. I know they can be crabby. I know they can be cranky. I know they can be crusty. Because look, you gotta give them some consideration. Like they night in, night out, they're hearing, you know, look, not for nothing, they're hearing a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like they do, right? I mean, look, anytime, any gig I've done with a sound guy, before I even get, like, as I'm loading in, I'm tipping them. I'm tipping them 20 right there. Yeah. I'm tipping the sound guy 20. I'm like, hey man, I really appreciate you coming out and working this for us tonight. You know, this is a little. Tip the sound guy. Tip him before you get on the stage. Tip him when you're loading in, and then tip him at the end of the night. You know what I mean? Like at least 40. If you, I get, granted, not everyone can afford this. I understand that, right? But like, tip them something. Get them a drink if they drink. You know what I mean? Like, but you do that and you extend and listen to it. If they say, hey guys, watch the stage volume, turn it down. Just listen to them. If you're having trouble hearing something, just be like, bro, can I get a little more of yada in this mod? And you're good to go. You know what I mean? They'll hook you up. Because look, they want it to sound good too. Oh, yeah. It's their reputation. They don't want to be known as, oh, you're gonna go play Third and South, dude. Like Mike sucks. You know what I mean? But it may not be Mike's fault. No. It could be because the booker is bringing in a bunch of newer bands or inexperienced players that don't know about these things. You know, like that. So it's, yeah, I mean, like I said, tinnitus is one of those things, though. It sucks because once it starts happening, ooh, boy, you know what I mean? Like there's not necessarily a cure for it. I mean, the best that you can do is just, you know, I got to be careful with these fuckers. You know, I'm running Shure 212 in-ear monitors, you know, and at times even streaming, I'm like, fuck, dude, like, damn, you know what I mean? I start to hear rings. Some of it's also, I've had sinus pressure issues too, which will also cause ringing in your ears. If you have a sinus buildup going on, that's going to cause ringing too. So sometimes you may get confused, not you, but people will confuse it too.
I had seasonal allergies too, and I've had that issue before. My nose is just, I hated that so much.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a matter of like just watch your volumes, see where everybody sits in the mix, and basically when you can try to get, see, I don't want to say, oh, go surround yourself in silence, because sometimes just of the room is enough of a constant signal to trigger ringing in the ear sometimes. Yeah. It does with me. Like, it does with me. And I can even feel when a pressure drop is about to happen, because I hear that, and all of a sudden my ear gets thick, and then I hear the whistle. I hear the train coming.
Train coming.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's, you know, it's a matter of like giving your ears a rest. You know, going outside, right? Like just getting outside into like a quiet park area and some sunshine, some good vitamin D. You know what I mean? Like just other aspects of trying to help take care of your health can at least help alleviate some of it. Like I said, they don't have a cure for it, from what I understand. So, but I mean, earplugs, definitely wear earplugs. And if you need to go with the thicker headphones, like there's no shame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if people are going to talk shit about you because you want to protect your health and protect your hearing, fuck them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Too.
Like, they weren't a fan. They weren't a fan to begin with. You know, like I remember I forget, there was one famous guitar player that was talking about hearing loss and about how it may affect, it was Phil Collins. Phil Collins was talking about hearing loss and his health issues and how he physically just can't fucking do it no more. And like the man's almost like 70 something years old, and all these people are like, oh, he's quitting. Yeah. Why is he giving up? And it's like, the guy's been on the guy's been on the road since the 70s. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. He physically cannot play the drums anymore because his wrists are so fucked. Like, the man had to sit in a chair just to sing these Genesis songs. And if anything, I'm sorry, that's sad. Like, yeah. Okay, great. Phil was able to at least go and still do it, but it's just like, yo, he's a shell of his former self. I mean, this was the guy that was on stage dancing and vibing and jiving and having a great time with it and everything else like that. And now to just see him desperately holding himself up with a cane as he sits in a chair, shaking, trying to get through Jesus knows me and land of confusion. You know, like it's sad, man. It's just like, why would you want to do that? Why don't we want to remember him like in his prime? You know, why do you want to remember him like this? You know, like.
I mean, the good news for good old Philly though is he does have the Tarzan soundtrack to always support for the rest of his life.
Man, he didn't have to do Tarzan, right? He didn't have. He still set.
That soundtrack slaps so. Like, he killed that soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Good God, Phil Collins. Crap. I gotta go, but now I kind of want to watch. I want to watch Tarzan, and I kind of want to be up to like 4 a.m. again, just watching Tarzan. God damn it, Phil Collins. All right, I gotta get going.
Dude, this was awesome. I appreciate it.
PJ, I love talking to you. You're a great dude. Maybe I could get you on here again. Maybe we can join one of your streams. Whatever, we can figure something out.
Well, this is a good time. Are you in my Discord?
I am.
The chat. Okay, yeah. I mean, let me see if I could find you in here. Well, I just got to give you the. There you are, Glorious Doof. Okay, cool. I got to give you a role. Yeah. So anytime you see me on, just hop in waiting room and you jump in. I don't do video. I just do the audio. Yeah, just keep it easy for everybody.
That's fine.
But yeah, anytime you see me on, like, you just hop in. It's like an open forum thing for friends of the show. Friends of the show.
You're a friend of the show too. We love you, man. If my crew was here, they'd be saying the same thing, but they're not here because Tuesdays, that's what's called Doof soloing, because it's me soloing. By the way, that name's done on purpose. My video games, you're gonna solo people? Oh, hell yeah, I'm gonna solo people. Because my crew's not here, but...
Let me solo her.
The legendary Elden Ring guy. He deserves that sword, by the way. If you don't know that, the Elden Ring...
They gave him a sword. Yeah, they gave him the katana blade, yeah. But the funny thing is like, actually, everyone's like the legend of let me solo her, but the funny thing is when he comes in to fight, it takes him like 7 tries.
Really?
Yeah. There's people who are like, yo, he came into my game and like got killed like 7 times, but then he finally did it.
He's not wearing any armor though. And like, if I'm correct, he does it completely naked, doesn't he?
Does it naked with a chamber pot on his head.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you later, man.
All about that poise stat. That's what it's all about, the poise stat. All right, dude. Appreciate it. And yeah, man, we'll link up soon.
All right. That is it for this episode of Vibe Jam. That's right. We changed our name because Vibe Box is taken. Peace out.